Welcome back to the Food Code. We are so excited. We have Miss Sherri Knight from Queen of Thrones today. She is the medical advisor. If you've listened to the podcast, you've heard us talk about castor oil packs, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Sherri is a natural wellness doctor and private wellness chef, and she has been in clinical practice treating patients for over 10 years with a specialty in homeopathic medicine and nutrition. So welcome, Sherri. We're so honored to have you here and excited to talk about the castor oil packs.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here with you.
Yes, we are so excited. Liz and I love the castor oil packs. I think that they can provide so much good benefit for people, and I'm excited to have you talk about it. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into this space and, how you got associated with the Queen of the Thrones castor oil company?
Yes, of course. So it roots from more than 20 years ago, starting a family and wanting to treat my two boys as natural as I possibly could. I've never took them to an MD or a GP. I'm their doctor and always have been. So I always would look for the most natural based form of healing their bodies naturally. So that led me into homeopathic medicines, which is what that medicine is all about, like healing the body as it should and not doing it for them. And then through schooling, education, becoming a doctor, they teach in natural medicine school all about castor oil packs, the old way, of course, the kind of messy way, which has led me to where I am now with the Queen of the Thrones. It's actually an honor to be here representing the Queen.
That's awesome. So can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what castor oil does, what the pack does in particular? I know that the list is long of what it does. So as abbreviated as you want to be, because they've been around for a long time. And I think a lot of people don't realize the healing powers that they can have and all that they can do and support. I know I've actually listened to, I'm not sure if it was you on the podcast that I listened to, but I listened to a podcast around the castor oil packs, and they talked about like when we covered castor oil in, the schooling that we had, it was very brief. It was, a 20-minute lecture on it, and it didn't really expand, but they have so many things that they can help with. So can you cover a little bit around the history of castor oil and how it became a thing and, what essentially it does for the body?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So it stems from what we know about it in school and medical school is stem from Edgar Cayce and his teachings, but it does go like thousands of years before that, and it helps with hair and wrinkles and growing eyelashes and eyebrows. It helps with cysts and things like that topically. The oil itself, and then the pack itself is like compression therapy. So it helps with like athletes use the packs for injuries in whatever sport that they're playing. And then when you put the two together, that's when it works its magic. The oil and then the pack itself. So it's 50, the oil and the pack.
Very cool.
Awesome. So I know a lot of people, have asked us before, like, do I really need to get the pack or can I just get castor oil? And one of the things, and I'll have you expand upon this, obviously, the compression is important with the pack, as you just mentioned, but castor oil is sticky. It's a very thick oil. And so it can be quite messy. And that's one thing that, I've just shared my experience with the Queen of Thrones. The pack is very high quality. I've worn it at night with a shirt over it, never had it get onto my clothes or anything. And so it's very clean. And that's one of the things that I love and appreciate about it. But, can you talk a little bit about why you need that compression and not just the oil? Like, why would you want something in addition to the oil?
Well, first it's mechanical. So that the compression of the pack, when it's placed over the liver, in combination with your breathing muscles, it helps to serve like a pump to your lymphatic system. So it encourages lymphatic drainage. And then secondly, it's neurological. So when the pack is placed on specific dermatomes, it activates somatic visceral reflexes, which triggers the activity of the internal detox and cleansing organs like the liver, the kidney, the gut, bladder. And then thirdly, it's the combination of both, the mechanical and neurological, because castor oil stimulates, or the castor oil pack stimulates the skin receptors, which stimulate the natural oxytocin feedback loop, which activates the vagus nerve. And then that is so special because that function right there shifts the body into a rest and digest state, which is where liver detox is optimized. So it's the pack is so important on top of keeping the mess less.
Yeah. And I would love if you can expand upon, maybe some of the benefits here. So you've covered, liver a little bit, obviously supporting liver detoxification. You mentioned gut. I know that one of the biggest benefits is that it can help reduce bloating, alleviate constipation. But we also know that castor oil packs can be worn in different places. So we have the ovary pack, and I know you have a separate pack than just the, liver pack for that. Can you talk a little bit about how castor oil packs can also, help with our PMS? So we know from a gut perspective, it helps with constipation and the bloating, but from a PMS perspective, I've seen a lot of doctors talk about, using this, approaching your cycle to help with, some of those other symptoms in terms of, cramping or feeling like moody, things like that.
Yes, sure. It's so fantastic for our womanly issues, especially around when we're on our periods and menstruating. So especially with bloating, even if it has nothing to do with menstruation, it's just like eating like terrible food combination choices. But we do have a pack called the pelvic pack, which is specific to put over the pelvic area. And one of the protocols that we do use is using or applying the liver pack over the liver one night, and then applying the pelvic pack over the pelvic area the next night. So you're both liver detoxing and all those functions of lymph draining and colon cleansing, and then the next night you're focusing on nourishing the pelvic region. And castor oil in itself is an natural anti-inflammatory. So when we're adding that oil to that area, it helps to regulate inflammation, and it's a pain reliever, and then just kind of like reducing those uncomfortable pains and discomforts. And then also on top of that, the pelvic pack is quite a bit larger than the liver pack, so you can also use it like on areas of your lower back in the case of like say sciatica or any kind of back pain, which I always used to get it earlier on when I was menstruating, getting a lower back pain. Like it was just so bizarre. And I wish I had this pack and knew about using these packs at the time. And then leading into perimenopause and menopause as well, it helps as well. So, yeah.
You guys also have packs for kids.
Oh, yes. They're wonderful.
Do your kids use them? Here's what I have to ask. It's like, how do you get your kids to keep them on?
Oh, that's a good question. That could be like for some children, it's quite a challenge because they're so curious and they're picking and playing and what's this. But the cool thing about it is it's for anybody, any age who puts it on. It instantly puts them into a state of calm. It moves them from that stress state to that parasympathetic state. So I love it for children, especially those who are super, super hyper right before bed, which children, for some reason, naturally just are. And you put that pack on them and they just all of a sudden just calm. And the trick is to some of those children who, do want to pick and play or whatever, is the best time to do it is an hour before bed. So distract them with like your nighttime routine, snacks or reading a book, and just kind of incorporate it into your bedtime routine.
Yeah, I love that. And I would love to tack on to that in terms of how you recommend people getting started with using them. I know that you can wear them all night. I actually shared my story a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. So I had been pregnant for a couple of years and I hadn't used the castor oil packs. I'd been wanting to use them. But obviously during pregnancy, I hadn't been. And so I started using them, and I actually had some testing done with a GI map. And I started using them before I got the GI map back. I wasn't super symptomatic. I started using the castor oil pack right away, overnight, every night, which was totally not a good idea on my part. But I immediately got a sore throat. And what my GI map showed was I have some parasites and I have some overgrowth of bacteria that I'm pretty sure the castor oil pack helped support my liver, which then kind of unlocked some of the biofilms, unlocked some of those things that were maybe not symptomatic, but were there. And so I should have eased into use with it And so do you have like a recommended, protocol per se for people that haven't used it before and are new to it? How to kind of implement it into your life, and maybe if you want to use it regularly, how you do that safely and in a good way, not how I did and ended up with some less than optimal symptoms.
Yes, of course. And I think that's really mainly the only complaint is, oh, I threw it on and I wore it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I just felt awful. And of course, if we jump into anything really, like it's just like exercising. It's like, if you're a couch cushion kind of liver and all of a sudden you go out and start jogging 5 miles, you're going to be very regretful the next day. So it's just kind of like easing into it, right? So we always recommend just start with an hour before bed. The best time is before bed if you're not doing it overnight. And, do that a day or two or maybe 3 days in a row and just, see how your body responds or reacts to that. And then if everything goes well, wear it for an overnight and then see how your body responds. And then if you're good to go, then every single night. But some people out there are very, like if they're living in a moldy environment, then they're highly toxic. So you wouldn't want to, do a major detox right away. The symptoms, the herxing symptoms that they're going to receive are just going to be unbearable. So the very cool thing about castor oil packs is they're gentle. As long as you're, in the beginning, you start off slow. They're very simple, and then you won't get those crazy wild symptoms.
Yeah, I learned my lesson, and I'm good. I'm ready to start using it again now that I'm doing some gut stuff too. But yeah, I just wanted to have other people hear from you. Start small, slow, as we say, to kind of ease yourself into it. And for me, it was actually a good thing to an extent. Like the sore throat sucked, but I was like, okay, this is showing me there are other things underlying that I need support with. That I would have never known, because I wasn't really symptomatic. And I think that's the case for a lot of people is we go about life maybe not having super horrible symptoms for a period of time and things are brewing underneath. And if we aren't supporting detox, we aren't supporting, healthy gut function, they can kind of rear their head horribly at times because you've let them brew for too long. And so we totally love the castor oil pack because it's, like you said, it's gentle. You can use it forever. It's not something that you have to like keep buying supplements and keep doing, it's something that supports maintenance of health with the liver and with detoxification and gut health. And that's why, we love it, especially for our clients, which a lot of them do deal with inflammation and, different varying degrees of gut dysfunction or liver dysfunction. So we're big fans. So we love that you guys, created it and the benefits of it. Can you speak a little bit in terms of fertility and how maybe that would support if someone is trying to get pregnant?
Yes, we have a fantastic protocol that we kind of started about a year ago based on seed cycling. So, women who are dealing with infertility or even trying to conceive, many practitioners will prescribe the seed cycling protocol. And as much as it comes or stems from a place of, science-based and it works, but there's so many people on this planet that cannot consume seeds, oils, or the seed in itself. And the time it takes to gather the seeds, you have to go buy them, you have to grind them, you have to store them. Are they rancid? Did I keep it for 7? It's this whole protocol. And then by the time you consume them, they can be very aggravating and cause even more digestive issues that we don't want. So there's the single seed cycling protocol, which is, like I said earlier, utilizing the pelvic pack with the liver pack. So the seed would be the castor bean, really, essentially it's a bean, the oil, and applying that to the body at different times of the day or different times of the month, depending on where you are in your cycle, where you are in trying to conceive. And we recommend doing that protocol, which can be found on our website, about a year before. So you're trying to conceive. So you're preparing the body, you're nourishing the body, you're reducing inflammation, you're regulating all of the functions to prepare the body to accept getting pregnant.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that, I know that you guys
Yeah.
have, talked in that document around how you would wear it, depending upon the different time of your cycle, right? So if we're looking at the follicular phase versus the luteal phase, ovulation, what is your favorite protocol? Let's just say for somebody who is wanting to support their menstrual cycles, not super concerned about fertility at the moment, but would you be alternating still every other night between the liver and then the ovaries, or would you be changing this at different times of the month? So 1 week you're wearing it ovaries, 1 week you're wearing it liver.
Ooh, that would, I mean, that sounds great. I would probably do that myself. But I like to keep things super simple, like in life in general, just like with eating, with your supplements, which is everything. So the simple, the better. And if there isn't really any kind of reason to make it more complicated, and your cycle is normal and it's regular, then just the liver pack would be beneficial. Wearing that every night, or as many nights as possible, 3 to 4 at least a night or a week, just to keep everything supported, regulated, and nourished. That would be my favorite pick.
Okay. I love that. So you mentioned earlier, anybody can use this. Kids can use it. Who would you say, is the population that would benefit the most from the castor oil pack or, this practice that we're speaking of, 3 to 4 times a week?
Um, who I believe anybody who's dealing with a hormonal imbalance or a super heightened amount of inflammation. And our audience seems to be women between the ages of 20 to 30 to about 45 to 50 right now. And then like we kind of like aim towards women, although I would love it if we could get some men in there too, because they deal so much with inflammation and hormonal imbalance actually. And I see such great results in athletes, like so many athletes, firemen. I see firemen all the time, and they're getting bumps and bruises, and if not worse, and they go to physical therapy, and physical therapists use the castor oil pack protocol with such great feedback. So it's kind of, and children, like there's no really pinpoint, but I think that the best person to start is when they're a baby, just to get them, keep them supported, and give them that structure and that foundation to work from, leading them, forward into life with something to keep them healthy.
Great. When would you say, so I know that you can obviously use the castor oil until it's gone, but the pack typically you want to replace occasionally. Are there like signs of you need to get a new pack? Is there is there anything to look for with like replacing the pack? Because that's something I was actually kind of thinking about, because I'm like, I've been using this, for a few weeks now, and it does, obviously you use the oil over and over again, and it does get a little bit more like wrinkled and stuff like that, saturated. So is there a time frame or things to watch out for with when you need to kind of replace the pack portion of it?
Yeah, great question. Common question as well, because a lot of our people will say, "Oh, I put the oil on in the center, but for some reason it's reached the seams. Is it defective?" And it's like, well, no, it's oil and it is fabric, so it will reach the seams, and it's going to continuously do that. So it isn't until like it's not mess less. It's just a mess less kind of a protocol and system. The packs are, so it keeps the mess contained. So for the first, I would say 10 to 20 uses, there's going to be almost zero mess, depending on how much you put on, which we recommend 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time. But once it does reach the seams and it's just feeling a little plump, I wash mine just in some super warm water with baking soda and a little bit of natural soap, rinse it out, and then hang it to dry. And that seems to help. Obviously, that's never going to remove all of the oil, because once oil is on a fabric, it's in there, but it will help remove the amount that's in there. And then once it's just, you're adding oil and it's just making too much of a mess, or it's starting to fray, that means it's it's looking like it's biodegrading, because it is made of an organic material, meant to biodegrade kind of quickly, so that we don't add to our big mounds of garbage out there. So basically that's what we're looking for. It's just way too messy, and it's usually going to be about 2 to 3 months of regular use.
Okay.
Good to
Awesome.
know. And I think that's a really good amount of time for the price point, in my opinion, because you're getting, 3 months basically with the oil. Um, and so a couple of other questions here, because I know that Queen of Thrones has a lot of different products. I've seen for the hair, for the thyroid,
Mm.
for the eyes. Can you speak a little bit on the hair specifically? So someone, let's say they're losing hair or their hair is thinning and they want to use the castor oil. How is that going to benefit them? And then are there any other concerns in terms of, washing it out, shampooing? Is it going to make their hair very oily? Those types of things when they're applying it to the scalp.
Oh, yeah, it's a great question. That's actually how I first came across castor oil way, way back before I even learned about it. I was doing the Dr. Google search, just like, oh no, like I'm stressed out as school kids, husband, and I'm like super stressed. My hair was falling out. It's thin to begin with. And it was making me like not very happy. So I stumbled across, castor oil, and I thought, okay, I'll try this. And I was kind of skeptical because I really hadn't heard of it before. I just thought like my grandparents used to drink it, but it wasn't castor oil they were drinking. It was cod liver oil or something. So you apply it to the scalp, and the Queen of the Thrones has this really cool like pack that you can tie your hair up into, so that you can actually go to sleep in it, and it stays on because of the little button snap that it has, or you can wear it during the day. So you just rub it into your scalp. You could actually bring it into your hair, and the next day, if you have a warm shower, it's actually going to, rinse off, and the hair does not feel oily or greasy at all, which is amazing. And I have super duper thin hair, and I have tried other oils to help with like giving it some life, which actually do leave my hair oily, and I have to wash it like maybe 2 or 3 more times in order to look like I did shower. But castor oil, it rinses out really nice, and it makes it look livelier. It stopped the falling out for me. And it also, I think it was about 3 months after I initially used it that I started seeing regrowth, which was amazing. So it not only helped with hair growth, but my overall self-confidence, because who at 20, 25 years old wants to see that amount of hair falling out? So yeah.
Sure. I love that. I think that's really good to know, because we have a lot of clients that have asked us,
Mhm.
how can I, support my hair because my hair is, thinning or falling out. And so we're always asking more questions, of course, as to root cause. But I would also love for you to just quickly touch on, as in depth as you would like to go, some of the other products. So, who is the thyroid pack for? Because I think when one comes to your website, they might think, oh, maybe I need to get multiple packs. Where would you kind of tell them to start? Is the thyroid pack specifically for those with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, or Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism, or maybe cover some benefits there, and then also the eye pack? I would love to hear about that.
Ooh. Sure. Yes. So we have the liver pack, the pelvic pack, as you said, the thyroid pack, and the eye compress, and then the hair towel. So with the thyroid pack itself, yes, specific to all of the illnesses that you had just, and conditions that you just mentioned, but also not. You cannot have any of those either. You can have a perfectly functioning thyroid and feel like you have absolutely no imbalance in your hormones at all, and still use the thyroid pack, just because the same reason you would wear the liver pack if everything's functioning normally, to support. So if you're wearing the thyroid pack, then you're nourishing the thyroid, and the more protection and support we get for our thyroid, the better our life and our body is going to be moving forward, because we're always under this attack all the time. And so yeah, I would think that, and the other bonus to the thyroid pack is it helps with the skin. So, like, I don't know if you've noticed like celebrities on TV and their faces are young and they're tight, and, their neck shows their age, right? So I find that the thyroid pack really helps with slowing the aging of the skin on the neck. And then the eye compress itself is I sleep with it every night. I absolutely love it, because it helps with releasing natural melatonin as you're falling asleep. And then in the morning, because of the color of the compress itself, which is the same light color as all the other packs, it actually allows the natural light to come in to wake you up like you should. So naturally producing the cortisol to wake you up rather than other eye masks out there that are like dark purple or black. So that when you take the mask off, you're just like, is it noon or is it 6 a.m.? I can't tell. And why do I feel tired? So I love that, the eye compress itself.
Do you recommend against just bathing in castor oil?
Yep, just a tub and you sit in it.
The tub.
Yep.
It seems like it can help everything. So I feel like sometimes you need to put disclaimers though, because people just take things into their own hands and they run with them. But I love that it's been around forever. And there's a reason things have been around forever. Like there's a reason that they've been used in, thousands of years ago and are still continued to be used today. And then we just make them obviously less messy, a little bit more accessible, and a little bit easier to use and put into our everyday lives, which I love about what you guys have done with this. We actually have a friend of ours, and she made her own castor oil pack. And she's like, yours is probably better than my bootleg one because I use like a flannel t-shirt and like this. And so if you guys are doing that, just stop and go and buy a castor oil pack from the Queen of the Thrones website, because and that's what I know Liz mentioned she kind of hesitated with, is the mess. You worry about like, is it going to ruin my bed sheets? Is it going to like, am I going to get oil everywhere? What can I wear to bed? I'm going to ruin all my shirts. And I will say, I have not had anything like my self tanner ruins my sheets more than my castor oil does. I have had no issues with it getting anywhere outside of the pack. And I'm sure with more uses, obviously it can, and then you got to get a new pack, but like it is definitely not messy. It's so easy to use. And anyone can use it, like you said, other than obviously pregnancy. During pregnancy, you should not be using them, but probably only because there's no research on it. So I'm sure they'd be fine, but obviously we have to put the disclaimer around pregnancy.
Of course, yes.
So
and so I would love to just ask, a couple more questions here. I'm looking at, the website, and you have so many great articles and blogs just around all of the things that the castor oil packs can benefit. And we work a lot with individuals that have a lot of gut dysfunction, candida, H. pylori, right? We know that there's a lot of food sensitivities that come along with these things, especially leaky gut. Can you touch on that a little bit in terms of how the castor oil pack would benefit somebody going through an autoimmune, or excuse me, a gut healing protocol, or maybe also those with autoimmune? Obviously, it's very anti-inflammatory, but specific to, some of those root cause issues, how would the castor oil, support a gut healing journey?
Well, when you talk about things like candida, and then there's like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, which can cause so many symptoms like constipation and diarrhea. Malnutrition is one of the main things to really worry about in weight loss and fatigue. And then a lot of these conditions also require the use of antibiotics as well, which is like destroying our gut flora. So ricinoleic acid is effective in preventing the growth of numerous species of viruses, bacteria, yeasts, molds. So it has a high degree of success in treating SIBO for that reason. Fibroids, also ovarian cysts and fatty liver. So when castor oil is absorbed through the skin, several events take place. Like number one is the lymphocyte count of the blood increases, which is like so helpful. And lymph flow improves throughout the body, and it speeds cellular repair and helps to move out any toxins. And the great thing I love about it is it helps to also reduce the swelling in lymph nodes in those types of issues.
that's amazing. It's amazing how something that we can just put on our bodies can help so much in terms of how our body's supposed to function. And like you said, unfortunately, we live in a very toxic world, and it's getting more and more toxic by the day, I feel like.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you can't just live life now and not be sick. Like you need to support your body in different ways. And like you mentioned, it's very gentle, it's easy to use, and it does so much for helping, lymph flow, so blood flow to remove toxins, get toxins moving. Because I think a lot of people that are sedentary and don't, sweat regularly and don't go to the bathroom regularly, like you unfortunately are just creating more and more toxic load by not detoxing your body. And so a large part of that is having healthy blood flow. And I know you guys also, I believe, have the dry brush on the website.
Right. Yes.
Like dry brushing and lymphatic massaging and stuff like that. And that helps as well. And oop, can you still hear us?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, the TV went out, and so I was concerned that we got completely
disconnected. Oh no.
So I think that it is amazing that such a simple thing can help your body function how it is supposed to function, and the importance of all of those things that I think people just overlook a lot of times, unless they're severely symptomatic, obviously. But things like this that are, in my opinion, like maintaining health. We need to be able to maintain health. And unfortunately, it's kind of almost impossible today unless you put things in place like this and extra efforts towards nourishing your body properly and eating the right foods and, making sure that you are moving your body and sweating and pooping and all of the things that help our body push out the toxins that we're just unfortunately exposed to on a daily basis. And so, we have a lot of clients that come to us with gut conditions. And I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that maybe we don't have great blood flow moving toxins through our lymphatic system, or maybe we have leaky gut and we're just getting an overabundance of toxins into our blood flow that shouldn't be there. And so we need the support of these things to help them stay moving and help, them essentially get out of the body so we can heal. And it's just, it's so much more than just, I think what a lot of people think of them probably for is like, PMS or your liver, and it extends to so many different organ systems within the body, which is obviously how holistic medicine views things. So I love that. That's amazing. Do you have more questions? I know you had a long list.
Oh, I think I'm good. I guess I would just ask you to kind of wrap it up with any advice that you would share to someone who's considering, to use it. I've been sharing low and slow, I think, with any protocol that you're going through, or if you want to maybe share if you are having adverse reactions, how do you, adjust your protocol if somebody is, having itchy skin or maybe a sore throat or, something because they don't realize that their body is burdened and very toxic. And, now they're giving the support to detox. What else should they be doing? Right. The lymph drainage, doing the dry brushing. I think all those can be helpful, but any other tips that you want to share for those just getting started?
Well, I think I would give the same advice that I give my patients and in my clinical practice. And it's, if we're still giving our body, we're still feeding our body or putting on our skin what we want to be removing, then no matter what we're doing, a supplement, a castor oil pack, homeopathic medicine, Tylenol, you name it, is not the answer. It's a Band-Aid. It's not going to work. So we just need to take a moment to look at what we are putting in and on our body so that we can actually help it to heal and get it back to homeostasis.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great advice. All right. So where can people find you, follow you? I know that we will, of course, put the website in the show notes. I know that the Queen herself has her Instagram, so we'll link that out as well. But if somebody wants to, connect with you, how can they get a hold of you or maybe follow you on social media?
Yeah, so the website, of course, queenofthethrones.com. But the best place is probably social media on Instagram, and we are Queen of the Thrones. And our wonderful lady, Ashley, she's right there in those DMs and answering comments and any questions, any comments, any concerns. And even if we have infographics that we can send out, there's e-guides, there's blogs. So we're there very, very actively responding to any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much today. This has been wonderful.